What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripeHype.com, a fan-sided exclusive. We have gotten to 2 weeks of the preseason. We are 2 weeks away from regular season football. The time is almost here. Finally, people. Finally! Tim Daniel here, excited for another excellent show with none other than my co-host. He is also the co-editor of StripeHype.com, none other than Matthew Wilson.
What is up, Tim?
I am living the dream, man. What's going on?
Can't thank Casey and Brian enough for jumping on with us for a week to fill in.
Yeah, I was watching Summer of Slam with some buddies, so I was not away around my computer.
Yeah, it was a good time. We had a few technical difficulties.
What a shock!
I know, right? But at the same time, you know what? We got through it, and at the end of the day, it was a good show.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear, man. I think, again, thanks to those guys for stepping in and doing their thing. So definitely appreciative there. So, Matthew, we've gotten through 2 weeks of the preseason. We've seen a lot to like so far from the first team. The second team, we're seeing some guys step in and do some stuff. We're seeing some under-the-radar guys get their chance. Obviously, guys like Alex Erickson really taking the ball and running with it, literally. We saw Jeremy Hill look like he was getting back into form in the Detroit game. He was making some nice cuts. That 9-yard touchdown run was absolutely beautiful, the way he hit the hole, and his vision was back to what we saw from his rookie year. And obviously the star of preseason / training camp has been Tyler Boyd, really just filling in that void. Boyd filling the void, right? Huh? Yeah? Anyone digging that? Just me? Okay. Of really kind of stepping into that wide WR2 position there. So you're seeing a lot of camp bodies get challenged by some up and coming guys. Much to your excitement, I'm sure. Brandon Tate looking like he's gonna have to fight a little harder to keep his roster spot over Alex Erickson. It looks like Darren Simmons had an article today on Bengals.com saying that he's expecting Cody Core to really end up being a gunner for this team to really make the team, which I'm totally cool with because he's tall, strong, and fast. Mm-hmm. He actually played a little safety, if I remember, when he was in high school until he got to Ole Miss. And then Darren Smith obviously makes a really good play for a pick six there. Granted, I think I could have caught that ball. Maybe not have taken it to the house, but all we had to see was Dan Orlovsky basically just say where he was throwing the ball there. But, I felt good coming out of the Detroit game. The first drive had me a little nervous, but the bend don't break mentality of Paul Gunther's defense of not giving up points continues to show up there. And the first team comes out and has a really good drive. Dalton and Green looking like they're in mid-season form already. Those two, just such a combination, such a connection, you just can't fight. So, with that being said, man, your thoughts there on what we've seen so far in this first 2 weeks since we tried to do a show last week, but everything just was against us that night. How you feeling so far, about who's jumping out and surprising you? Who's the guy that you're expecting a little more from? What are you thinking so far?
I mean, I was hoping to see a little bit more from Brandon LaFell. Obviously, his hand injury kind of kept him out. However, it looks like he's going to try to go for it this week.
Yep.
In the game and test out that hand, hoping he doesn't need surgery. So really looking forward to seeing what he's really going to bring. Also kind of keeping an eye out on seeing what Adam Jones is doing. Obviously, they brought him back. I want to see kind of how he is complimenting these guys in the secondary. Look forward to seeing him a little more. And, of course, really kind of looking forward to seeing the more passing to hopefully Tyler Boyd and Cody Core and anybody else who's on the field that isn't named A.J. Green, because we absolutely know by now that A.J. Green and Andy Dalton have chemistry and can throw to each other and can throw and catch.
Yep, and then we've definitely seen a lot of that so far. The Detroit game, we saw A.J. Green making catches where he looked like he was 8 feet tall because that's what he does. And he's costing me a first-round pick in my fantasy football draft on Saturday because he's my keeper, but it's cool. We'll still be fine. It's going to be worth it. So anyway, I think so far so good there. A lot of things to look forward to, and for the team and everything we're seeing from them as well. Um, Now it leads us to what's coming up this week. It's a primetime game with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's dress rehearsal, which is like the most fun preseason game. So we're going to see not exactly what this team is all about, but we're going to see what they can do. It looks like the starter's probably planning on playing at least a half. Um, so this is a Jaguars team that's really young and up and coming. A lot of guys making some name for themselves, trying to out there. They bring in some really good pieces like Chris Ivory. Obviously you can probably go through their whole defense, be excited about guys they brought in via the draft or free agency. So, in these preseason games, it's not about what we think who's going to win, who's going to lose. Obviously, we'd like to see the Bengals win and continue to do big things. The only team really that cares about their win-loss record in preseason is the LA Rams. So, and apparently the Dallas Cowboys because Dak Prescott's been unbelievable. They're playing tonight, actually. I forgot about that. Anyway, so what do you expect from this Jacksonville game? It's a team that they match up pretty well against. I can't remember the last time that I've remembered the Jaguars beating the Bengals. I'm pretty sure it's when they were both in the same division together many years ago. But what are you thinking about this one, man?
Well, I'm excited to see how Darquez Denard and Dre Kirkpatrick line up against two very decent wide receivers. Of course, Allen Hurns is a good wide receiver. He posts challenges to this team continuously, or to any team continuously. Very talented in what he does, and I know Allen Hurns, and yet I'm blanking on their number one wide receiver.
Robinson.
Really? Thank you. Robinson is incredibly talented. He's going to line up probably against Dre. You might see Adam Jones line up against these guys once or twice to real number one wide receiver reps. And so these two wide receivers are really going to kind of show what the secondary is going to be like. And, of course, they're facing in the regular season. We know Antonio Brown very well. Now we're scheduled and slated to see Josh Gordon this season. So they need tests early, and preseason is a great place to see guys because it's low pressure, but it really gives you a good look at what this first team is about against somebody else's first team, and this looks like this should be a great matchup in the against our corners and their wide receivers.
Yeah, because like you mentioned, man, the group of wide receivers the Bengals are going to see this year is going to be interesting. Twice with Antonio Brown, twice with Josh Gordon, Odell Beckham, Dez Bryant, Deshaun Jackson, DeAndre Hopkins. Damn, we just probably named like 5 first-round fantasy picks right there on wide receiver.
We just named like half of the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, basically. But now it's division. Now it's conference versus conference again. So we just named the NFC and a couple AFC guys. But yeah, so there's a lot, there in that circumstance. So you're right there. And we saw Golden Tate and Marvin Jones have some success in the Detroit game. Obviously didn't put a touchdown on the board, but we know those guys are quick, athletic, fast guys with good hands. So that obviously plays a part too. But we definitely did see, the lapses there a little bit. So, yeah, I think you're right, and that's a really tough thing there. But I think that they're going to be prepared. I really do think Dre's going to kind of take a step forward to what he was, obviously not the year before last, when we all remember his Monday night game when he was outstanding, had 2 picks off Peyton Manning. So I think that we're gonna see a lot from them and see how they match up there. I am looking forward to seeing Brandon LaFell in the field for the first time and how he meshes with and where his chemistry is at with Dalton and the offense, because there's a lot of talks that he didn't get a lot of targets in practice this week. So I saw that discussion a little bit. So I wonder how much that plays a part. I wonder if that's just kind of whether he practice went that day or what. But you got to think that. And I'm happy Brandon LaFell's here. I hope he plays a part on this team, and they consider giving him a contract again next year. But you got to think he's a little behind, especially with what Boyd's been doing.
Yeah, and I see that. I mean, Boyd is, and I've said it, I expect by the end of the season Boyd to be the number 2.
I do too.
If he starts out at the number 2, then more power to him. I'm very excited to see what Boyd really finishes with this team because, as we talked, he replaced James Conner, running back, so he has the flex position there. We've seen him already in preseason, in training camp, throwing the football. So we're getting Mohamed Sanu type effect.
Who?
That guy that went to, again, Atlanta, that for some odd reason decided to become a dirty bird. Anyway, it's irrelevant. He's no longer there. So, but Tyler Boyd is really the guy who I'm really excited to see how he's used in this offense and seeing if Paul Guenther really does keep to the Hugh Jackson style in terms of keeping defenses guessing and pulling some tricks out from under his sleeve. So I'm excited to see how they use him.
Yeah, man, I'm really looking forward to that too. Defensively, oh my God, there's that echo again. Oh, that's maddening. Is it on your end too?
No.
Huh. Okay, it's gone again. We're fine. We're good. Everyone's clear. Technical difficulties. So defensively, I still, as much as I like what the Jaguars have on paper, I like the combination at running back. I like Bortles a lot. I think that Julius Thomas is going to have a good year because they're finally going to get to see him healthy, hopefully, especially with those 2 wide receivers taking care of him. And Marquise Lee I still expect will be a pretty decent NFL quarterback. I just still worry about their offensive line as far as Jacksonville. So I think that's going to be something where the Bengals are going to have the advantage in the trenches, and I think they're going to be able to win games in the trenches. Obviously this year through not just their front four but their linebacking core, who may not be great immediately due to Vontez's suspension, but obviously they're going to kick it into gear and still be a pretty good football team. So I expect their front seven to be A-okay. In this game, I really think that they'll be able to show that against Jacksonville because I just don't think Jacksonville has the offensive line yet to really do big things against this Bengals team. And also keep Bortles protected.
There's the key. I mean, Bortles has to stay clean in order for Jacksonville to be successful. And so for that, it's hard for me to sit there and say that they're going to do anything strong against the Bengals this week, but as I said, the wide receiver matchup against the Bengals corners are what I'm really excited about, just because it's going to be really exciting to see them face quality wide receivers. However, we really can't count Bortles out. Just the problem is going to be a gentleman by the name of Carlos Dunlap and a gentleman by the name of Geno Atkins, and in getting to him. And so I wouldn't be shocked if the Bengals start getting to Blake Bortles if the Jaguars pull him maybe a little bit before they planned just to keep him healthy.
Michael Johnson's been having a really good preseason too, so I think that he'll be able to get some push as well. We're kind of seeing him. I mean, he was good last year, obviously, but I think he'll be better this year too. His second year back in Cincy and being back in the system and be able to do things again. So, yeah, I'm with you there, man. And, man, we were zooming through this episode. This is nice. This is very nice.
Well, it's been 14 minutes.
Where are you? You sound like you're in a bubble.
Am I in a bubble?
You're not in the bubble anymore.
Okay.
Yeah. Podcasting, man.
Well, there's some experimenting and audio going on because I know you said echo, so I was trying to adjust some audio. So I apologize if I made myself sound like I was in a bubble.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
Okay. Well, I am Bubble Boy, so
That's the worst movie, maybe ever. So
it's the worst movie ever, but you have to admit, you cried a little bit in that movie, didn't you?
Nope.
Yeah, okay. You cried. Admit it.
Nope. All right, so
we're on another tangent.
I haven't had one of those in a while.
I know, right?
Yeah. Well, you're catching me like as I'm doing like 4 shows already in the week, and you're like the fifth, so it's like I can do this. I got this. I'm gonna be good today. It's gonna be awesome, and it's like cool. That was great. We knocked it out, and by the time like you and I get done, I'm like out cold, like in the corner of my room.
Or like last week, it was just plain out cold.
Gosh. Yeah, I think the best thing that happened was that day was everything shutting down.
That's
I was not on it.
By the way, and we're gonna since we're on tangents, we'll plug it now. Um, I have the opportunity, and we've actually pre-recorded because I'll be busy when the show's actually happening. But I actually got the opportunity to go on with Ben, who is part of, and of course, why am I always blanking on names of things that I'm like not staring at? This is bad. Like I blanked on with him, Joe Hayden. When we're talking about the most hated, the most or the basically AJ Green's kryptonite, and I blanked on Hayden. How did I do that?
Yeah, well, he also hasn't played in like a
True.
year. Did he play at all
True.
last year?
He played very limitedly. He ended up getting in a lot of concussion issues.
I knew like when he played, he wasn't good.
But we were on. I was on. It's called BS3 Sports Show. It's part of the All-In Sports Talk Network, and you can find it on Spreaker.com, SPREAKER.com/show/BS3-sport. So catch me there. They go live at 1 o'clock Central Time, so 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Saturday. So check it out there. They got a great show. And we talked a little AFC North. So check out Ben's show. It's live on Saturday. I said 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. We got a chance to visit with him and talk a little Bengals football, talk a little AFC North. And, yeah, by the way, we have the Bengals on that show winning the division. So little sneak preview there.
Well, Sports Illustrated has the Steelers in the Super Bowl losing to the Cardinals.
So are we talking about in 2008 to 9 when the Cardinals just barely lost to the Steelers, just in reverse?
I don't know what would be worse for me in life. The Steelers winning the Super Bowl or Carson Palmer winning a Super Bowl? I think I would literally boycott that Super Bowl. Like, I would not watch it. I would not go to any party. I would not do any festivities. I would just be like, no, I hate you, NFL. I hate you. You're an asshole.
Sorry, I can't bleep that one out.
You can bleep out whole. You just can't bleep out. I mean, you can say ass, but when you put that at the end, yes, that's where we become. And I apologize for the language.
Luckily,
but
we're not regulated by the FCC, so we're okay.
Carson Palmer hurt me deep.
He did. The first cut is the deepest.
True to that, man.
It
wasn't LeBron going to Miami bad. Actually, it was way worse than LeBron going to Miami.
Yeah.
So, anywho's, speaking of basketball talk, I guess I'll plug myself here while we're at it, right? Right? Yeah? Cool?
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah, you can go on. I am running my NBA podcast weekly called The Corner 3. You can check us out on thecorner3.net. We talk all things basketball. This week we broke down NBA trade rumors, who we thought was going where, who we thought should get traded for the sake of their career, and our co-host Sean gave his honest opinion on NBA League Pass. Spoiler alert, it's not good.
Spoiler alert?
Oh, dude, yeah, League Pass is terrible.
League Pass is about as good as Game Pass by NFL.com.
I enjoy Game Pass only because no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking of something else. NFL Rewind's really cool. Like I like watching coaches film and stuff. That's neat.
Yeah, in a way, but the only issue is you can't watch it live.
Well, yeah, but
listen to it live. But I mean, don't you want to see AJ Green make that spectacular catch on the sideline?
Well, I don't work Sundays, so I can see it anyway.
Well, I'm in Pittsburgh.
Right.
So
Do you get Sunday ticket?
no.
Do like bars there even show Bengal games? If you're like, hey, if you go to a bar that has like all the NFL games on, are the Bengals on?
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Is it like a small TV in the corner?
Yes.
I figured.
Wings, beer, sports. Oh yeah, by the way, the Bengals are over there. Um,
Wings, beer, Steelers.
well, yeah, it blares pretty loud, especially when, uh, especially when, yeah,
Let me
that
ask you this because I'm now curious. I think I already know the answer, but just for shits and giggles, um, when you're in public, right, at like Buffalo Wild Wings, and the Steelers are on TV, do people take their terrible towels to the restaurants and wave them? You're gonna tell me yes, aren't you?
depends. It depends is because, well, first off, most Steelers fans are wearing that so they don't have to go to the bathroom during the break. But other than that, when you're talking about a Steelers bar, yeah, absolutely. When you're talking about a general restaurant that just basically has the game on, like Olive Garden, no. Because Olive Garden does have TVs in their bar area, and people do sit there and watch the games. Yeah, you know. But yeah, when you go to an actual bar, absolutely they have the terrible towels, and yeah, the only reason the terrible towels are ever good is because it gives money to charity, and so just for that, the towels are good. The team still sucks.
I cleaned a pair of Jordans with a terrible towel once.
Good for you.
I'll do it again.
You know what? I would buy the towel just so that I could burn it, but as long as the proceeds are going to charity, I'd be fine
It's
with
a
it.
win-win. Yeah, exactly. Was it Hushmanzada that cleaned his cleats with it one game?
Hey, nothing's worse than the Dallas Star stomp.
To yeah. I'm looking forward to watching them play tonight. Actually, it's Zeke Elliott's first game. Oh, dude, let's talk that. Speaking of NFL rookies, like this Joey Bosa thing, isn't that unbelievable? Like, I've always known the Chargers weren't the greatest franchise, but like that's unbelievable to me that in 2016, with the way the CBA is set up, where you're drafted is where you get your tiered contract, that they can't get a deal with Bosa, like, and they're past the point where they can trade him because his draft rights are expired because he's already done OTAs and rookie camp.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he can enter the draft again next year, would he get to do the combine and a pro day again, or would they just be like, yeah, can he go like play a year in the CFL and then come back to the NFL? Can he do that? I guess he could.
I think if he did that though, he wouldn't be eligible for the draft.
Well, he could still sign.
Yeah, but no, I think he couldn't go back to the draft because he technically played a professional sport elsewhere.
Well, no, I'm not saying about the draft. I'm saying like what his options are.
But even then, if you look at him doing that, his contract is going to go way down. If he goes into the draft, he at least has a chance to go in the first round again. Maybe not as high, but there's at least a chance.
I think in the 2017 draft, he'd still be the top-rated defensive end.
Yeah, because his brother wouldn't be eligible to come out until 2018.
Yeah.
Because, no offense, Nick Bosa is ridiculous.
He is, man. Like, and Notre Dame plays at Ohio State. They have a home and home with them. I think it starts in 2019.
Okay. I was going to say, if it was this year, I was going to say, I feel so sorry for your quarterback.
Which one?
Whichever one was playing against him.
So, yeah, but back to the point. I can't believe it. Like, it's shocking to me that, like, I don't really care who's at fault, truthfully. Because, you know, depending on who you talk to, it's going to be either Bosa or the Chargers. But I do know the Chargers do have quite the reputation for being a terrible negotiation team. Hence, I think Michael Turner like left because of that when he went to Atlanta, if you remember a while back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just really shocking to me in this year where the CBA is at now, that was he the third pick?
Yeah, Bosa was the third pick.
The third pick in the draft is not able to come up with a rookie deal.
No, and I mean you have to understand where he's coming from. He wants his signing bonus, most of it, if not all of it, up front, and he wants most of his money guaranteed. Why wouldn't you? You're the number 3 draft pick in the NFL draft. You are incredibly talented. Why shouldn't you get paid? If the team doesn't want to pay you, you know what? The NFL needs to step in and go, listen, we understand you have a business to run, but at the same time, you're ruining the way our organization looks by being idiots. Granted, you have to understand, we understand from the 90s, because from the 90s, we all said that Mike Brown was the cheapest piece of crap around. And so we get it. As Bengals fans, if you were around in the 90s, you get it. You understand what fans of the Chargers are going through. Only problem is you have a lot of Chargers fans who are still naive enough to believe that it's Joey Bosa's fault, not the Chargers.
Well, it's not like they go to games.
Yeah, well, yeah, you know, it's all marketing money anyway.
But yeah, like I feel totally awful for any Chargers fan that bought a Bosa jersey. Like, you're probably just sitting there holding that. Like, if he'd signed, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
2, was it Michael Crabtree? I think it was his rookie year at the Niners. He didn't sign until like week 9.
Something like that.
Yeah, it was something crazy like that. So yeah, and 2, like, I don't think this necessarily stunts his growth. Obviously, you know, another year of not having the speed of the NFL will be a little bit of a wake-up call, but don't do that. I can see you now.
Yes, you can.
So, 2, and just for if you're listening to the audio, Matthew was picking his nose. He wasn't yawning.
You know.
2, it's, man, like, the Chargers defense was bad enough already. Without him, it just becomes a little more laughable. God.
They will have the number 1 overall draft pick next year.
And yeah.
I'm very, very tempted to say that because the Eagles are going to be better. And
I think probably them or the Browns.
Well, the Browns are going to be better. I think they're going to be like a 5-11 team.
The Browns will probably get a top 5 draft pick and trade it to get like 18 draft picks because that's what they do now.
So that's because they have Hugh Jackson in charge and they have the ball.
They made a deal today.
They
traded Barkevius, to the Patriots, and they got a 5th rounder out of that. Like, they're doing big things up there in the Cleve, man. They're trying to catch up to the Cavaliers.
That's because they're taking the Oakland A's path to success.
Yep, they sure are.
I mean, because anything you do in Major League Baseball translates to the NFL.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Justin Tebow.
I think the NBA's got a team like the Brooklyn Nets kind of tried that for a little bit. Didn't work out as well.
Don't worry, the New York Mets were quick on it, and then so were the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. So, let's go ahead here and touch on our opponent previews as we're getting ready to get closer to the end of the year. I mean, the end of this before the season starts. So the 2 teams we have left, we have the Buffalo Bills, because no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. And we have...
Yeah, we're missing 2. The Eagles.
I don't think we're in order anymore, are we?
You know, I'm not even sure anymore.
Yeah. So anywho, you want to do let's do the Bills. You want to do who do you want to do today?
Well, let's get an official Bengals standing for who they. I know. I'm gonna. Do you want to plug them?
I got nothing.
How about we actually reset to first?
That's fine.
So reset while I'm looking this up.
All right, so this is Bet and Stripes brought to you by StripeHype.com, a fan-sided exclusive network here, doing our opponent previews for the 2016 season, where we will talk the Buffalo Bills and the Baltimore. Have we not done them already? I thought we did these two. Oh my God, this is
We
disastrous.
by the way, you're absolutely no. It's the New York Football Giants and the Buffalo Bills. Or no, we did the New York Football Giants. It's the Buffalo Bills and Baltimore Ravens. You're right. Philadelphia and Houston. You won't hear those words out of my mouth very often. Tim is right. Because I'm bullheaded like that.
So, with that being said here, the Buffalo Bills are quite the story, obviously. When you have Rex Ryan as your coach, it's always going to be a story there. Rob Ryan comes in to be a defensive assistant. Tyrod Taylor gets an extension. LaShawn McCoy almost gets in trouble, but doesn't. Sammy Watkins hopefully will actually be healthy for once so we can see how good he is because he's pretty damn good. Yeah. Defensively, they have a lot of injuries and suspensions that they're dealing with. Marcel Darius being suspended 4 games. Reggie Ragland out for the season. So it's a little bit of a mess in Buffalo. I think talent-wise, they have a lot of talent. Like, they could be a good football team, but they have a lot of problems, and that's where I think it's going to get them. Because I think that they have the capability to really win 8-9 games, maybe make a run at a wild card spot. But can they get healthy? Can they stay out of trouble? And can Rex Ryan stay out of his own way?
No, no, and no.
Yeah, because Ragland's out, I think, till next year. Like, he's done this season.
Yeah. Yep.
Marcel Darius will be back after week 5. Tyrod Taylor, we've already seen battle a little bit of injuries. I remember last year, the game when the Bengals played the Bills, E.J. Manuel started that game. I still really like Shady McCoy for another 2 years. I think he could really be a good – he's not going to be what he was, where you talked about him being one of the top 3 or 4 running backs in the game, but I still think he has some tracking on the tires there, and traction on the tires, not tracking. And I don't think that they have what it takes in that division where we all know who's on top and will always be on top probably until Belichick and Brady say no more. Even if Brady says no more. Looks like Garoppolo might be okay in that position if you're watching preseason football. So I'm not ready to talk about Buffalo potentially being a world beater by any stretch. But they are tough at home, and the stadium now is a new name. So watch out at New Era Field because no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Well, they're a bunch of wagons. Part of me is concerned about, of course, Richie Incognito being there. A lot of distractions revolving around him. Sammy Watkins is a decent wide receiver. But Sammy Watkins is a decent wide receiver. That's basically all I see other than LaShawn McCoy. And
I have some under the radar guys. Well, Carlos Williams is gone.
Yeah, and Reggie Bush is there too. But
I was going to say, they replaced Carlos Williams with Reggie Bush.
Yeah.
They would get younger, more athletic, and healthier, but they get Reggie Bush.
But then again, Reggie Bush really hasn't shown much in the past few years. So, they have LaShawn McCoy, they have Sammy Watkins. The question really becomes, are we going to see it be Tyrod Taylor's show, or are we going to see E.J. Manuel's show, or are we going to see, by that point, Cardell Jones' show?
Well, Tyrod Taylor got an extension for a reason.
Yeah.
He got an extension to be the guy.
Yeah.
E.J. Manuel, I don't think will be there next year. I think when we talk about Cardale being their second-string quarterback and, something – which is a pretty damn good backup quarterback to have if you ask the Ohio State guys. Yeah.
He's a national title-winning quarterback.
He played 3 games that year and won the 3 biggest games of the year.
Exactly. He's a big game quarterback. Just don't throw him in the regular season. He'll suck.
Apparently.
But no, E.J. Manuel, again, it all depends. Tyrod Taylor going to stay healthy? Can E.J. Manuel carry the team if Tyrod Taylor gets injured? Is Tyrod Taylor going to be able to survive Rex Ryan's offense? There's a lot of questions surrounding this team still, and I'm not ready to. I think they'll make some noise in the division. I mean, the Patriots always seem to struggle against division teams on the road. So, I'm not ready to call them a game changer yet, but I'm definitely not counting them out to at least make some noise within their division.
I'm with you, man. And so that's where I'm at there. And also because of them, the Pittsburgh Steelers make the playoffs because they just had to pick off Ryan Fitzpatrick in the end zone. Thanks, guys. That was cool of you.
Yeah, yo, you know what?
Real cool.
They're going to be irrelevant anyway, and the Bengals are going to trounce them, and it's going to be a 35-10 game because the Bills terrible.
So that brings us to the Baltimore Ravens, who last year, if we remember, just couldn't have anyone stay healthy for the life of them. Had an IR that had a salary cap of about $30 million, if I remember correctly. So they are. I expect them to be better. Obviously, they're a tough football team. They always fight with everybody. Those three teams in that AFC North division always make things interesting for sure. Could still see a potential thing where two of the wild card got the two wild card spots are AFC North teams. So,
Yep.
I really like their draft. Guys like Ronnie Stanley, obviously I'm a little biased there, but bringing in guys like Keenan Reynolds, who are athletes from Navy, to be the wide receiver. They drafted that running back from Louisiana Tech, Kenneth Dixon. I think he can end up being their starter, honestly. I think he has a lot more potential than Forsett does, obviously. This is the last year of Steve Smith, thank God. I don't think I've really ever disliked a wide receiver as much as I dislike Steve Smith.
Odell Beckham.
No. Like, Odell Beckham is like, I'm not a huge fan of his, but I recognize that he's really good at his job. And Steve Smith it's just, I mean, he's obviously has a great career. He's done awesome things, but the Baltimore Ravens could be losing 41-10. He'll have 200 yards on garbage time. We'll be talking about it on ESPN. And it's yeah, but cool, but what's he really done? Especially since he's been there, they've never beat the Bengals.
Are you playing the what have they done for me lately?
Yeah, because I remember when Steve Smith was on the team last year before he got hurt, the Ravens didn't win a game.
You're right. That is true. No, I mean, a lot of things are going to ride on number one. Everybody's got to stay healthy. I mean, if they can't keep people healthy, they're going to be in the tank again. And it's really kind of one of those situations of, number one, can they stay healthy? But even number two, can they really bring the level of play up to what the NFL level is with the guys they currently have? They have Ronnie Stanley blocking Joe Flacco. Who else do they have? They really don't have much.
Marshall Yonda.
Yeah, I still.
Marshall Yonda's kind of the best guard in the league.
He's all right.
All right, dude. He's the best right guard in the league.
Okay.
You got one? I love Zeitler, but I will not think Zeitler's better than Yonda.
No, and I won't put bowling anywhere close to that. But there again, you know what? People still got through Yonda to Joe Flacco because there's a reason Joe Flacco was injured.
That was kind of a freak play.
I'm still saying, you have to be able to stop defenses from getting to your quarterback, and that's one thing the Ravens continue to struggle with. And if Joe Flacco is going to take a beating in the backfield, then you're not going to get anything. And so, this team really needs to step up in blocking. And they have two guys that are very good, but when you're going up against a Bengals team that has Geno Atkins, Michael Johnston, Carlos Dunlap, Damata Pecco. Not to mention you're going to have guys like Carlos Dansby rushing. You're going to have guys like Vontez Burfict rushing. You're going to have edge blitzes from Darquez Denard and possibly Drake Patrick coming off the edge. These guys have to know how to pick that up. And you have two guys who can, but you have 5, 6 guys blocking Joe Flacco. And if all 6 guys cannot block for Joe Flacco, it's going to be a long season, especially playing against the Bengals, especially playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 2 of the best defenses in the league. I hate saying that because I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, but you can't argue that Cam Hayward's not a great player. He's on the wrong team, but he's a great player.
I will say the Steelers front 7. I will never say that their secondary makes them one of the best defenses in the league.
No, I mean their pass rush is ridiculous. That's what makes them one of the best defenses. Their secondary has continuously sucked.
Yeah,
and it sucked with Troy Polamalu. The only difference is just Troy Polamalu played more like a linebacker, stepped up and basically jumped over lines. I mean, we crossed that bridge, but you're still talking about one of the best pass rushing defenses in the league, right next to the Cincinnati Bengals. The AFC North is known as the defensive league because of those 2 teams, and because because the Ravens had at one point had a healthy Terrell Suggs and a Ray Lewis, that two guys who were ridiculous. It was one of the best defensive teams in the league and one of the best defensive divisions for a reason. And the Bengals and Steelers have continuously kept it up, at least in the pass rushing, and the Bengals have stepped it up in the secondary game too.
Yeah. But like I said, I expect the Ravens to be better. I would say that they might be an 8-9 win team if they're healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that means next week we wrap up the opponents of the year, man. Holy moly, how do we get this far?
Very carefully.
We got the Eagles, and we got the Houston Texans with Justin James Watt. He's pretty good.
Oh. Watt me whip, Watt me JJ.
Yeah, he's a good football player. He is good at playing the game of football.
You know, for some odd reason, I think he should have gone into parkour. With that box jump he has, he's been ridiculous at parkour.
He almost makes me want to buy Reebok sneakers, and I hate Reebok sneakers.
Well, remember, Reebok was actually bought out by Adidas, so they're not really Reebok.
True. That weird triangle logo thing they have now. It's like, what are you doing?
It was meant to be a mountain peak.
Is that what it is?
That's what it was meant to be.
Well,
it's a Japanese company. Who cares?
Can they bring back the Shaq shoes then?
There was originally talk of that happening.
They did for a little bit. They brought back the Shaqtosis ones. Those were sweet.
Didn't they bring back the Shaq pumps too?
Yeah. They had the Orlando ones.
Yeah, that's right.
So all we need now to bring back for Shaq is we need All Sport. Can we get All Sport back?
What, are you talking about the
sports drink?
I thought that was basically named for Powerade.
No, All Sport was carbonated sports drink. It was like
that's right.
It was like carbonated Gatorade, man. It was good. At least I remember it was good. Thing it, I had Crystal Pepsi recently, and that wasn't good.
What we need to bring back is Shazam.
You mean Kazam?
Or Kazam, I'm sorry. It was a genie thing with Shaq. I mean, come on. I've only watched it 20 times.
And on that note, I think we can go ahead and wrap up this week's edition of Men in Stripes, brought to you by StripePipe.com, a fan-sided exclusive. Next week's show is our last before the regular season. So in a couple weeks, we're going to be able to talk real football games, people. Real football games.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And as long as the Bengals destroy the Dolphins and their hopes, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Because they dashed our dreams when Geno Atkins tore his ACL.
Well, we got a while. We got a while till that.
That's the game I have circled. I could care less about week 2 because you know what? Le'Veon Bell's gone. Vontez Burfict's gone. I want to see those two like just go at it. Like midfield, Vontez Burfict just lay out Le'Veon Bell and look at him as he lays on the ground, basically motionless, and say, "Yep, you're punked."
And on that note, everyone enjoy your week. Have a good one out there, and a big hoo day.
Today.